You all, we are on the last objective for Unit 2. So today we're taking a look at effects of migration. For us, it's the last one, last objective. Awesome. So for today, we're looking at historical and contemporary geographic effects of migration. So using like ESPN to examine this. So this first one, economic, ESPN, right? So economic effects of migration. So we have receiving countries and then also countries of origin. For receiving countries, immigrants are a source of labor for less desirable and low paying work. So typically people who migrate, who come into a country, tend to pick up work that is low paying or like not as desirable. So let's say in agriculture, construction, service industries, these tend to be like really exhausting, labor intensive jobs. This does reduce jobs available for citizens of that country, but these are typically jobs that people are not taking and don't want anyway. Immigrants also often open businesses, shops, restaurants, nail salons, all kinds of things, maybe markets and things like that. And that then becomes part of like the colorful culture of that area, right? And then countries of origin in terms of economic effects. This decreases unemployment in their home countries because then they're not actively looking for work there, right? Then there's less strain on the resources of their country of origin. And then also this term remittance or remittances, which we discussed in the previous video, this supports the economy, right? If they're receiving money in from other countries, that then gets spent and then like injected into that country. Brain drain. This is a real problem in a lot of places. So loss of trained or educated people to emigration or exiting, like people leaving the country once they become educated and looking for those higher paying jobs, right? Looking for better places to live, right? In their opinion. So I thought this was an interesting stat, right? 25% of doctors in the US are born in another country, which is pretty amazing. For this case study, we have the Philippines. So this is, as of 2017, 10% of the country's GDP came from remittances, and that totaled $33 billion. That's pretty incredible. So again, remittances can play a big role in the economy. Then we have social and demographic effects of migration. So for receiving countries, we see a lot of cultural contributions, like I had mentioned, right? Immigrants bring their culture with them, right? They don't leave their culture at home. They bring their music, their food, their literature, religion, language, traditions, art, all these wonderful things, right? Sometimes this does receive backlash if the original population feels threatened, or maybe they might feel like it's just unfamiliar to them. So then we see prejudice, discrimination, racism, and other potentially negative effects as well. Then we have demographic change. So for countries that are in stage 4 and 5 of the demographic transition model, these are low growth, zero growth, or populations that are in decline. Since the 90s, immigration has been the main source of population growth in core countries. So in these developed countries that are in these stages, immigrants can help contribute to these taxes that are paid through your income. So again, when we've talked about the elderly dependency ratio, this is one thing that can help with that issue. And then age composition. Most immigrants are working age, so that reduces the dependency ratios and provides tax support for the elderly, but also for the youth. So the countries of origin, in terms of social and demographic effects, we do see sometimes a demographic change there as well. So an unbalanced sex ratio, because young men are the ones that tend to leave, right? So sometimes we do see instances where there might be like a shortage of men in the home country because they're off away working. Dependency ratio, sometimes the young and elderly are not as able to be cared for. And then also changes in the traditional family structure. So if, the young father decides to leave to work to send remittances back to his family, then that traditional family structure is right. It's different. It's changed. This can also provide relief from overcrowding. Right? So this is one example. This is Qatar. And then look, guys, like look at how many young men are in this country. These were not born in Qatar, right? They're there specifically for construction. I'm sure you guys heard a lot of controversies that had to do with the World Cup, but there was a lot of building and construction projects that needed employees. So a lot of men came in from other countries. So we could see how much it can skew that population pyramid. And then political effects, receiving countries and countries of origins. Sometimes there's immigration restrictions, so laws that might restrict immigration, sometimes due to xenophobia, or just wanting to limit like, the amount of cultural diversity in a place. So Japan is part of this, the US historically as well, with their quotas. And then laws also that encourage immigration with guest worker programs and family reunification. There goes Addie. Y'all, I swear, every time I start recording, he just like comes out and is like, no. Then we have this case study, the Chinese Exclusion Act. This was the first law that restricted immigration in the US, and it was targeted at the Chinese. So that's all we have. That's it. We're done with the unit. Awesome. Make sure that you guys review your notes. Make sure you get through your